Hi everyone. We just wanted to make this brief video to give you a bit of a background into what you can expect when you arrive for worship on Sunday, September the 13th. So we're going to do a quick tour of the church and try and explain some of the procedures and protocols to make sure that we keep everybody safe when they come for worship. So the plan is to ask you to come no sooner than 20 minutes before the worship starts at 20 to 10. And when you see that this concrete pad is empty, we ask you to come forward two at a time in your household bubble, or if you're coming to church alone, come on in on your own. And you'll see that we're going to try and leave the doors open so that there's not a lot of touching of doorknobs and things like that. You'll see that a mask is required, that you must wear a mask at all times once you enter the building. So if you could zero in on this, you'll see that at the bottom of the steps we have a screening station where we'll be asking you some questions. So come on in. So, there will be a screener seated at this table, and the screener will ask you a series of questions about whether or not you've traveled outside of Ontario in the last 14 days, whether you've been exposed to anybody who has COVID. Now, I'm going to put my mask on because that's what we do when we come inside. Just so that you can hear me today, I'm going to pull it down for now. So, you'll go through the screening, and once you've gone through the screening test, if you have some symptoms, you'll be asked to go home and come back when you're feeling better, and we hope everybody understands that that's for the safety of all of us. So when you're done the screening, you'll be invited to come in and sanitize your hands, and there's a little sign up here about how to do a hand rub. I learned something new, and that is that you should keep rubbing your hands until it's totally dry. Now, I just set this out here because some of you may find a mask problematic because you have breathing problems. And we have a few shields which we're willing to provide. It's a piece of plastic. It says face shield. It's very simple. There's an elastic strap at the back, and all you do is you just put it on like that. So we will have a few of those for people that are uncomfortable or medically unable to wear a mask. So once you've washed your hands and your mask is in place and you've done the screening, and we ask you to put your mask on before you come inside, so for the safety and health of our screener too. And then let's go on upstairs and we'll show you what will be happening for the next few Sunday mornings. We ask our lovely camera person to follow me up. I hope you got my good side there on the stairs. Things look a little different in the parish hall. If you could come on in, you'll see that we have mapped out an alleyway to go from the staircase and into the church. So you'll see there's arrows and social distancing reminders on the floor. An usher will meet you on the landing, walk you upstairs and seat you, and then come back for the next person or people. You notice we've stationed our neighbor-to-neighbor food wagon in this alleyway. It's extremely empty, as in there's nothing in it right now, so don't forget your supplies and groceries for neighbor to neighbor, so that we've stopped doing the food drives in the parking lot, but we invite people to bring food each week.
Dave, I have a question.
Yes, you.
How will the usher escort me? Will they be right next to me?
No, they'll be 6 feet apart from you, and they will have a mask on. And so they'll come and get you at the landing after you've done your screening, and they'll walk you up, they'll seat you, and then they'll go back to get the next people. So that's why we asked you to get there within 20 minutes so that we can get people seated. So come on into the church. We ask you to keep your social distance at all times. One of the things that we're doing as part of our safety plan is we're not passing the collection plate during the worship. So you'll see we have the collection plate stationed right here near the entrance to the worship space. And so any of you that have envelopes or an offering to make, or a Thanksgiving offering for being back in church, please place it here, and I will be blessing the offering during the worship, but leaving the plate here for the entire worship. So the usher will take you into your seats. Now, according to Ontario law and diocesan protocols, the most that we're allowed to have in church is 1/3 of our capacity, or 50 people, whichever is less. And for us here at St. Paul's, we estimate that 1/3 of our capacity would be a maximum of 40 people. Because we think if we filled every pew in the choir and beyond, that we'd be at 120. So we can seat up to 40 people, because that's the lesser of the two. And you'll see that we have, as we walk down the aisle, the usher will take you to a specific seat. And perhaps if we look at this pew here, an example. We have not roped off the pews, and I'll explain that in a moment. But what we have done is we've put X's wherever you are allowed to sit. So we've had the measuring tape out and made sure that we social distance 6 feet apart, or as we say in the golf world, 2 club legs. So you'll be, if we have 2 X's beside each other, we feel that that's a family or people that are in the same bubble, and then room for another one down. So as we walk through the church, you'll see that we've got
Dave?
every other row. Yes?
One more question. What if there are 3 of us?
If there's 3 of you, and you're in the same social bubble, you can sit beside each other, but then the usher won't be seating anyone at the far end of the
Thank you.
Okay? Now, as we walk further down, you'll see that we only have the seating every other row as part of our physical distancing strategy. So ushers will seat you. They'll ask you to remain in place and not move around during the worship. And then the usher will leave you and go back to the landing to seat the next group. So we're asking a lot of our ushers, and we ask you to cooperate with them. You might not always get the seat that you want, and we understand that's disturbing, but we ask you to go with the flow on this issue as we attempt to try and get as many people safely seated and distanced as possible. So we'll come down and you'll see that we have seating for the entire 40 people spaced out every other row. And you'll notice that the door to the hallway, the door down below, the door into the church, and the door leaving the church are all open at the moment, and if the weather's good, we'll keep them that way. One of the things that, one of our guiding principles is that foot traffic must only flow in one direction. So people will come in down below only. We do ask you not to come to the upstairs door, and people will come in down below only. They will come up the stairs through the hall, take their seat. And then at the conclusion of the service, we don't want people to just get up and leave. We ask you to wait till the usher comes along and tells you when your row can exit the church. And when that happens, we ask you to leave through this door and go out to the parking lot. Keep your mask on till you're outside. If you're going to speak to anyone in the parking lot, please keep to the spirit of the safety that we're trying to provide for everyone, and keep your distance. We ask people not to congregate and linger in the parking lot, but to go home very quickly after the service. I think those are some of the main points that I wanted to cover off, and I see that lady over there has a question. Yes?
What happens if I can't do the stairs in leaving?
If you can't do the stairs, what we ask you to do at the conclusion of the service when your row is called to leave is to stay behind, and then an usher will come and get you and either take you out through the front door here, or if the building's empty, we might take you out the other way and over to the elevator, and someone will help you down through the elevator. But the standard would be to leave through this door, walk across the patio into the side door of the parish hall, and then over to the elevator. So at all times, we're trying to keep traffic going in one direction. And reminder that as you leave, and I'll be reminding you during the service, we ask you to keep your physical distance of 6 feet or 2 club lengths as you leave the church, unless you're walking beside someone from your bubble.
Will we have communion?
Yes, there will be communion. A fancy theological term, communion will be in one kind only, and I will be bringing communion to you. One kind only means that there'll be just the wafer, no wine. And that's why we haven't roped off the pews, is every other row is empty, and I'll be walking on those empty rows in order to distribute and communicate people with the host during the communion. So people will not be coming up for communion. I'll be the only one who's moving during communion.
How do I do it with a mask on?
Well, that's a good question, because we do ask you to keep your mask on or your shield the entire service. Obviously, you can't eat the wafer with your mask on, so when it's time for you to receive the wafer, just take your mask down, put the wafer in your mouth, chew it, put it back up. That would be great. So anyway, we wanted to give you a brief idea of what to expect when you arrive for church this Sunday, and probably for the next several Sundays. I want to guarantee you and assure you that as your rector and wardens, safety is our #1 priority. We will be meeting after the first Sunday to discuss how it went and to see if we need to make any revision to any of these protocols, if there's something that we hadn't considered, because we ask you to bear with us. This is new for all of us. And if there are adaptations to this plan, we will be communicating that widely. But we're very excited. I don't know about you, we just had a question about communion, but it's a long time, been a very long time since I've had communion, and I know that I'm really looking forward to it. One other thing I want to mention is if you're still not feeling comfortable about coming to church yet, I think you should err on the side of caution and stay home, because we don't want you to feel uncomfortable. If you do decide to stay home, we will be live streaming at 10 a.m. only the worship service that people are experiencing live in here, and that will be available from 10 o'clock to approximately 11:15 only on the parish Facebook page. You won't be able to go back and see it at another time. So it will only be live streamed in the moment on Sunday mornings. So thank you for spending a few moments with us. I hope this gives you a clearer idea of what we have in mind, and we really, really look forward to welcoming you back to St. Paul's and to come together as family. So we'll see you Sunday morning, I hope. Thank you.